Okay, here's the opposite. Here's a client that should have won, in my opinion. They should have won. Now, they didn't do the best due diligence search. So they had one weakness, maybe two weaknesses. They didn't have formal training that I know of. There wasn't a PhD in engineering or chemical anything, okay? Not even a Bachelor of Science. They claimed ITCs of roughly 10,000, so it's not a large claim. We're not talking printer case of 150,000 federal credits. We're talking a small fraction of that. Small company, but let's take a look at what they did. So they have the development of a chocolate spread, okay, that they want to make organic or something with cream and maple syrup and avoid preservatives. It had to be done at cold temperature, no synthetic ingredients, various things along that nature. I'm like, okay, well, this sounds interesting. Let's see how they worked on that. So the RTA came in and said, well, it wasn't systematic. I don't know why they said that. I'm looking at the evidence and we'll look at it. It seemed pretty systematic to me, actually. They just varied the concentrations of ingredients without addressing specific technological uncertainties. Okay? I can support that because I didn't see in the court case evidence of the due diligence. And that was the only thing missing. Okay? That the client, if they did a lot of due diligence, didn't present that information clearly in the court, or they should have won. But everything else looked very good. Okay? So they say everything was quality control, or it was just normal data collection. It wasn't correlated to the resolution of a technological uncertainty, okay, that went beyond standard practice. So the judge came in and basically took the CRE position. He's saying, well, the ingredients are all well known: cocoa butter, maple syrup, cream, dairy products. And they mix the ingredients, kind of like your mother experimenting with a new recipe, not scientific. They're just tasting it and whatever. And then use the cold tempering process, which is a known method by varying speed, time, and temperature. Now, again, I would say the client had some weaknesses in benchmarking standard practice, which is probably their downfall. Had they done that, they probably could have got over the hurdle of, lack of formal training or things like that. Okay. So I'm thinking that the problems here are, one, and these are things that I'm seeing over and over again. So whether it happens in court cases is just proving what I'm seeing in practice lots and lots of times over and over again. Lack of formal training. Right away, my guys who are self-taught, whatever, I don't even know if I want to do those claims anymore, because it doesn't matter what they do. If they don't have the formal qualifications behind them, they're not being taken credibly anymore. They could be the greatest developers in the world. A lot of emphasis being put on formal training, formal designations, accredited type stuff. Okay? Biggest one, they didn't document standard practice techniques enough. They said that they did the research, but they didn't bring the evidence with them. They said they looked at techniques, but they didn't prove it. And small claims. The bigger the claim, the more credible you seem to become. With these little claims, the courts seem to be less favorable for some reason.
Is it because they're going to spend $20,000 to review a $1,000 claim? And they're just trying to discourage as a matter of policy?
Well, let's talk, you know what, let me talk about that issue in a little bit when we talk about the changes in Quebec and the new threshold that you have to spend $50,000 or you don't get a claim. That's exactly what they said, that it's too much, that they're spending more on administrative time on some files than the total credit. It costs them more to review a file than the actual credit itself, so that they put a threshold. Under $50,000, you don't have a claim anymore. Now, I'm saying that could be coming at the national level if the politicians really like it. Liberal government in Quebec passed it. Who knows what happens in the election? Again, I'm not a politician. I'm not going to predict that stuff, but it could be kinds of things that we're looking down the pipeline. Yes?
Having read in your newsletter some of the details of that case, I think one of the things that relates to the level of education and so on is if you're doing that kind of recipe development and you select the one that works, if you select it and say, this is an advancement because I now know which one works, if you don't know why, then it's no different than going out and buying something off the shelf and figuring out which one works. I think you need to... I'm
just going to reiterate what you're saying because the people on the... I've got to reiterate the questions. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but how would I short phrase that?
it's not enough to identify what works, you need to also understand why. And if you can demonstrate you understand why, then you've made the technological advancement.
Okay, yeah. I would state that slightly different. It doesn't matter what your results are. It matters what your conclusions are. Because results are just that, results. It worked, it didn't, we're happy, we're not happy. Who cares? Client's happy, client's not happy, doesn't matter, irrelevant. Why did this particular combination work better than the other combinations? Or why did it fail or not work? What did we learn from this that we didn't know at the start? Again, I would totally agree that the conclusion is the technological advancement. And it's at the very last stage of the scientific method, and only if you've done all the other ones. If you make a conclusion without benchmarking standard practice, you don't have technological advancement because you don't have the basis. You're missing one of the key pieces, fundamental pieces. Okay? So, again, we've gone through on the GMABE. How could they have done it differently? Again, these guys could have gone in and benchmarked standard practice very easily. I mean, the kinds of stuff that they're dealing with, all these issues, if we run a prior art search, and again, the trick is just to start the search. So I'm not going to put it because we got the tax case now, I'll add that after. So shelf life, tempering method, and type of bacteria were some of the issues. So we go in. And maybe see, we've got articles on how does it spoil. So these are all relevant. We could cite a few of these. But I like to go to the patents. Are there processes for treating patents, for tempering patents, extending life, putting different cultures in there, bacteria? So again, have we looked at any of these? Or what they refer to? Have we shown that we're using this method, but it conflicts with something else? I don't know. Again, saying that we've leveraged all available knowledge but still found additional variables of uncertainty creates the eligible project. Without benchmarking the available knowledge, again, and I respect where the courts are coming, that this is probably why this one lost. That the client hadn't benchmarked available knowledge, and therefore the court said there was no technological advancement because you hadn't benchmarked what was out there. You started with hypothesis, but those hypotheses weren't already benched on an informed opinion, I guess, is ultimately what the judge was saying. Having said that, they had good variables. They looked at a lot of good stuff. So this is one of the ones where, I don't know, the client identified all these variables, type of bacteria, pH, they keep records. They had documented tests of everything. So I would have thought this was a good SR&ED project. Again, I'm not sure what the lesson is from that, but it's the environment that we're working in.